Well, welcome to Saturday, and today is blower day, so we're going to be removing the blower. So we got some insight from Tyler, and his suggestion was to, of course, you have to remove this first, then you remove all of the water pump, and then you've got the fuel pump on this side. You have to take off this, you have to disconnect from the governor, and then the whole apparatus comes out, and then you work on it on the bench, get the new one built, and then put the whole thing back on. So we're hoping a 3 to 4 hour job by the time it's done, and we're going to get to it. It's about 7 in the morning. We're waiting for a local mechanic who's going to come and give us a hand to get going this morning. So first thing Jason's doing is taking off the breather box, which is just kind of a lid that sits over the front of the blower. So there's just a couple bolts. It's a fairly easy removal. Ooh,
Dude.
what's that? We've had that off already, so that's not...
That's why it wouldn't. That's why it started and stopped.
Oh. He probably put that in there to... Yeah, we had this all off before, so it's not like that's something that's been there for the whole time, but... What's in it? Just rags?
Just a rag. It's just stuffed in. It was stuffed inside. It was below the flapper valve. It looks like it was stuffed in and then the cover was put on. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm cleaning the blower, the flapper lid off, aren't I? I'm going to use that bucket as a parts washer. Just kind of... So why don't you set it over here and I'll get the cleaning it up.
But that makes sense. That's why it fired and then quit and wouldn't start again, right?
Well, it does need oxygen.
That's a surprise. You have a new screen?
I do, but let's just put everything, pile it all up here, because inevitably if something doesn't fit, you don't want to wreck.
Oh, look at the gout. Something's gone through this blower.
What's that?
Something's been gone through this blower at some point.
Oh, we could tell how screwed up it was.
Gotta love the South 7-year-old band clamp, and it just comes off like butter.
Well, it's been covered in grease its entire life.
Yeah, incredible.
So what do you think I need? I want to get some of this stuff cleaned up.
I would maybe start working on dashboard switches if you can.
You think so?
Yeah, we gotta clean them anyway to get them working.
Well, what about cleaning all this shit up? I guess once we get it off, we'll spend an hour cleaning.
Yeah.
I think it'd be worth it to just get, like, that thing looks sketch as hell. This,
that stuff doesn't bother me. That'll all come off the pressure washer, degreaser and pressure washer. Like a heated pressure washer, that'll just steam right off. I wouldn't waste time cleaning.
What about replacing that gasket, though?
This gasket?
Yeah.
Well,
we've got this thing off.
Might be not a bad idea. You can see somebody's cut one,
Yeah.
and I can cut another one just like I did on that side.
Right.
See, this is your air box in the block right here,
Mhm.
and this is under like 1 or 2 pounds of pressure from the blower. Not a lot of pressure, but it is under a little bit of pressure. So if this is leaking,
Yeah.
you're going to be leaking blower air out through there,
Right.
and it's going to make it less efficient.
No, I agree. I agree. so I'll start. Boy, I'm reluctant. I guess the thing is I can't really screw it up too bad if I pull that dash completely out. I'm gonna have to disconnect the batteries.
Yeah, that's fine. Just undo that one cable on
That
the
one
end.
strap.
Yeah, and then the batteries stay connected together and they'll still charge.
Get it?
Got it.
Okay, you got a mess all over the place.
Well, you said you were cleaning up, so we weren't worrying about the mess. We were leaving it for you. Did you get new copper washers, or we were using?
Crush washers.
They're probably all right.
I want to, dude. I mean, if they're $3, let me jump in the Jack, where in town would I just find regular, just the crush washers like that?
Maybe Ben Wilson.
Ben Wilson?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get one off for you.
Well, no, you just get an assorted kit, but I'll make sure I get these. Okay. Anything else we need right now? Besides that cotter pin?
Cotter pin in the bag.
Is that it?
I think so.
Jack, you need anything?
No.
Okay. I'll be back in a little bit. Crush washers.
That blower's got a different cover.
What's that?
That blower's got a different cover.
It's newer.
Well, might have to switch this whole end plate because length of the shaft.
He said it fits 671.
Come out.
I don't think so.
All right, we'll get the crush washers and we'll figure out that problem next.
It's just a cover, but we should be able to switch the whole thing. So far, all the same. Little snug. Might have been on there for 45, 50 years.
Could be. I got a 50 Chevrolet at home I'm working on. With irons. I got a 61 Chevrolet camper out there like nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one up a time. 3/4 ton pickup. Got the resin motor and transmission in it, but the camper's made, factory made.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
So see this I can't even force it on. It's just
Right. It's so that's like the same size.
right. So it needs to be the next size up.
Okay.
Just wipe it down. You can take it with you. Put it in a bag.
There's a baggie here. Let me grab it. See if Tyler will answer.
So it needs to be at least as long as that. And slide on it. Okay. It's the same diameter at both ends. I checked, so it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
So we might as well put this cover back on then.
Well, let me just get confirmation from Tyler here, because.
Well, we can't use that cover. We know that.
Hey, got a question for you. I just sent you a picture. The end on the new blower and the end on the old blower are different. There's a solid steel tube that bolts onto the end of the old blower that is the cover for the drive shaft. The new one, Scott had mentioned, I can't get a hold of Scott, but Scott had mentioned that just used a pipe, like a flex hose, with couplers on each end. So if I could get tubing and figure out a way to couple it on each end, there's no pressure or anything. It's just protecting the
Crankcase pressure.
So it's crankcase pressure. So if you take a look at the picture, the ends of the end piece are rounded on the old one. The ends on the end piece on the new one are squared. So you can't put the old bracket onto the end of the new blower. Okay, well, I'll go down to Ben Wilson. I've got the tube. I know how long it needs to be, and I know how, the dimensions need to be. And just get them to fabricate one for me. Or just I'll get a length and we can fabricate it.
It needs to be that plus this together. That's the total length.
What's that? So you're suggesting that we go with metal and then radiator hose as a coupler. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll hopefully Ben Wilson's got it. I didn't realize that they were so dramatically different. So, yeah. All right, thanks. Bye.
The lengths are so different. I'd say just get a few extra inches and we'll cut it to length.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're going to grind it down. I got my cutter and everything, so.
Worst case, just get a piece of hose if that's all you can get.
He's like, you want the center to be metal, but he said you can couple it with radiator hose. You know what? I'm gonna. When in doubt, I'm gonna yield to those guys because they've done these over and over.
Right. Okay. Well,
All right, back to the.
I'll keep cleaning. We can clean up the face for the blower.
Yeah. I was going to bus and started to record.
Yeah.
There's plenty of seating. The door is open. I should probably just shut it so it doesn't.
Needs to be.
So right now,
Cut that shim first.
the old blower has this pipe that bolts right to the end that takes the drive shaft from the engine into the blower, which makes obviously the blower operate. The newer version has a different end to it, and it just has a flange on the end, and then there's supposed to be a pipe, and this gasket fits on there, and then there's a pipe that goes on that extends out to the drive and on the engine side. And since we don't have that, and we don't want to, I went and sourced some exhaust pipe, 2.5-inch exhaust pipe, which fits sort of, but we figured out a way to shim it. You can see there's some room, but we've got some pipe, gas tank hose that we're going to use to shim it in. And there's no real pressure, there's just a lot of oil flowing through it, so it has to be sealed pretty tight. And so that's what we're doing right now, is measuring to cut and fabricate the new end so that this fits in to the end of the
I guess it doesn't matter if it's longer, right? It can stick out a bit.
yeah, actually probably be, you don't have to make it too long, but so that pipe's not cheap. It runs $40 a foot, but since he didn't have quite a foot, he sold it to me for a little better price. But Gates does make money on its hoses, that's for sure.
Look at that, I actually lined up with my mark.
Well, there you go. So while I was running getting all that, we had a storm moving through. You can kind of see it. It's still probably going to rain here, but there's a big nasty cell that looks like it's going to miss us, go the other direction. Jason, while I was out getting everything, Jason cleaned up the blower, and that's the where the drive shaft goes in right there. But there is mud everywhere on this thing. If you take a look, look at the back of the bumper, for example, right in there. You can see it's just nothing but mud. So that's all going to have to be scraped off, but we're not doing it right now. We did scrape the engine area clean, so at least this area is not too bad. And we took the gasket off there, and so we'll be ready to go with getting it buttoned up.
God, that's sure.
Spline's way off. It's hang on a second. Yeah, it's not even in the spline's not even in the getting into the
hang on, back it off. I think it's
Wedged.
yeah. You got to back it off with it and get it. We got to get it in the. Can you bring it back out? Yeah, it's too low. Hang on a second here. Why isn't this popping on now? It's not going on. This isn't sealing on. Something's going on. Can you back it off? I'll grab it back, pull it out for a second. There's something wrong with this seal.
They don't have that the other way, that big lamp up there?
No, here's the problem. Along the way, this, God, where's the screwdriver? Yeah, this got jammed, so it wasn't. We want it. We need to have this off a little bit, not flush. Okay. These are equal. So that fits on good. I'm just gonna leave these clamps loose. Okay. Now we're good. Now we can move them in and out as we need to.
Okay. All right, you ready, my friend?
Looks good. Yep. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's looking good.
Oh, you got that stupid wire.
Okay.
Back to where we were. Still does not want to go all the way in.
It's got plenty of space here now.
It's almost like that shaft is too long or something. Like maybe there's a different shaft between the two blowers.
No, the shaft size would be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that the offset of the bolt. You're saying the bolts are
No,
offset?
the length of the shaft. That shaft is connects the two. The drive shaft.
You got different.
Huh?
Because the housings are different too.
These
No, the
These.
front housing. See,
front
that one-
housings.
That one's a lot lighter than this one is.
Yeah.
We're in the same spot we were before.
Try to get the.
See, what I was doing before was I could grab the governor here.
Yeah, he's got the mallet. I don't know. Well, let's just keep going. At least I know the gaskets are I mean, there's plenty of space there. We're not hitting that pipe now. There's nothing stopping that thing. How far off are you? If it's the exact same, then
And
I'd say it's the exact same.
that's about the same, but that taillight's going in.
Huh?
About the time it was about a go on this one going in.
Oh yeah. You want to try to spin? Is that not going in?
No, not yet.
Yeah, the gear's in, I bet. Well, do we machine the end off of the spline?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, do we want to take it off and call Scott and
It's like half a bolt hole, like quarter of an inch.
yeah?
So it's not that pipe. We shortened it.
No, there's so much. I mean, we've
Well,
got tons of.
That's about how much it needs to go in. That quart
Yeah.
that right there.
So we're
So we're the right length on the pipe now.
yeah. I suppose Luke's around on Saturday. Well, Luke wouldn't know. All right, now we got a good question for you. We have the blower on. We are about a quarter of a bolt, so like a quarter inch or less, to move into the drive shaft. You know, to get the spline in. Nothing is obstructing it. The spline is in. We can't turn the blower, right? So the spline's seating. We've gently wrapped it with a mallet. It's not moving. We thought originally the pipe we made was too long, so we took it off, cut it, and then put it back on, and it's going right back to the same spot. We're fearing that the spline is longer, or the spline would be shorter with this newer version than the older version of the blower. That seems like it's going to be an easier way to do it.
See, Tyler told us to do it a certain way, but didn't explain why.
Wow.
If he'd explained to us why, we would have understood, right?
Well, that's
That's where I can reach it.
that says something about you, Jason.
All right. Grab that governor, stand it up. Okay.
Okay, over.
Oh my God.
That's it.
That's it.
Two down here.
I don't know
Are these your bolts right here?
Sure. Okay, you let go, Jack. One more. One more bolts.
Over here.
back wishes we did that the first time.
Yeah. Well.
I think we need a room upgrade with a hot tub and jacuzzi or something tonight. Wow.
I think I don't know, man. I'm not getting in a jacuzzi with you. That's what you're thinking. It's not part of this whole thing.
Well,
What?
Patrick wanted to ass swap, whatever the hell that meant.
Oh, that's a Louisiana
I know.
swamp
Swamp ass.
ass. You know, he's-
We got a buddy down in Louisiana, and he says they get so sweaty that they get swamp ass.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was raised down in that country. My grandpa and daddy from Louisiana. I was raised down in southeast Texas.
I was trying to tell him that West Texas is a hell of a lot different than East Texas.
Oh, yeah.
This is my first time in Texas.
It is.
Yeah.
Well,
Hell, they don't even let us Canadians own guns.
that sucks.
Yeah, he's like, where can I go shoot a gun?
Never even shot a gun in my life.
Really.
Do we need to lift it up to get those to start? Before I snug these down,
Yeah.
I can back them off a little bit.
I thought you should have 7/16 out of there. I thought.
Okay, these are all loose, so you should be able to lift it up a little bit. I need to. Okay.
So what got you to Snyder from East Texas?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's one of those questions nobody should ask, eh?
Yeah. Wrong place at the wrong time, to be honest with you.
Oh. You dying?
Just resting.
We'll do a little of this.
Oh, yeah. Just gotta cool down.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's Saturday afternoon, and
It's hot.
Jason. Yeah, it's hot. It's probably 97, 98 degrees. Jason and Jack, our local guy. We all managed to get the blower on, and you'll see the footage of that. That was a task and a half. Now we've got the blower and all the parts. We're getting the last couple of parts put back on and dialed in. And so now what we have to do is basically get these wires sorted out. At the bottom of the engine, there is a starting solenoid that was bolted to the bumper, which isn't a good place for it to be. It needed to be bolted somewhere else. So we're gonna do some adjustment with just where things are, and then we'll be much happier than we are right now. So Jason's standing right in front of the camera. Yeah. So Jason, what are you putting on right now?
I'm hooking up the wire to the emergency shutdown.
Okay, so it's red and yellow.
It's red.
Okay.
The yellow is the regular engine shutdown.
Oh, okay. So what does that do? It just grounds it?
Yeah. It well, actually no. It's grounded because it's bolted to the motor. Well, depends if I haven't figured if we're positive or negative ground. I haven't really looked carefully enough. But it basically completes the circuit so that you hit the button on the front. And let me reset it first. And it's going to suck the solenoid up, and the flapper valve falls down and stalls out the engine.
So that's how it stops. And then the regular way that it stops.
Over here, there's another solenoid valve. Same thing, just different. And it hooks onto this chain. And all it does is, let me put this in the run position first. There. Now we're in the run position, and it just pulls it so that the rack comes into the shutdown.
And it gives it, starves it of fuel or gives it too much fuel?
Starves it.
So it just starves it of fuel and it runs out. Okay. So that's what we're working on now. And then, boy, we've just got some other, the wires you can see here. We just need to make sure that they're getting contact to where they're supposed to be up front. Chances are the buttons up front are just crusty and we need to get in there with a file because the wiring was done, looks like it was done pretty well.
Well, it was done.
Yeah, it was done. I mean, we certainly can make it look sexier. And we just need to make sure everything's working. Then we can work on the brake lights and there's a bunch of other stuff that we just have to do to make sure that we can drive it down the road.
Use that wire brush. I want to clean this up.
Well, there was one in here, and there was one. There used to be a bunch by my toolbox in the grinding bag, which is around the corner here. Grinding bag's got a bunch of them.
Thank you. So we got this green wire. We're looking for a green wire. Green wire goes into this. You know what?
Oh.
That box is not wired up.
No, it's not at all.
No. Not even
But
close.
I'm saying, can we?
Can we?
Yes.
Yes.
I got an 8 lead right here.
Yes. Let me just. You know what?
Huh.
I need to, before we can do that,
Yeah.
I need to run the bus and figure out if we're positive or negative. And I need to figure out if I have to apply power or if I have to apply ground.
Okay.
So we need to run it, and I need to put a meter on these to trigger, see which way they trigger.
Okay.
So that's what we need to do. We should be able to start it the way it is right now.
Where did you bolt that starter?
It's not bolted, it's just sitting here. I'll start it the same way. See how I started it?
Yeah, I saw. You shorted it. Can we just create I've got a little toggle switch.
You could.
I don't know.
Why don't we? Oh, I don't. Maybe I
Let's
don't
put
even have
fluid
to.
in.
Maybe I don't even have to start it to figure it out. I just gotta hook the battery up and see what is here. Okay, I'm gonna reconnect the battery.
We have the starter wiring bolted down and.
No, but the power wire's taped off. I want to figure out which is positive back there.
Okay.
Before I wire anything.
Okay. Well, the lead tester is right here.
Okay, let's think. We got oil. We got coolant. I just checked it. It's still full to the top.
We can shut it off.
We can shut it off. We've got a stopper, so if all else fails, we just stop that.
Full battery. That's live right now.
Yeah, that's reset.
Is the
ready to go.
starter solenoid grounded?
Starter solenoid does not need to be because we're not going to use it right now.
Oh. Okay.
All I'm going to do is I'm just going to short it across.
Okay.
So, assuming the fuel system didn't drain back on us.
Which it didn't. Remember, it was leaking.
Right. Let's clean that off so we can read our air pressure.
Okay.
I'm ready to start it if you are.
Starter up.
Okay. You might need to give it some throttle. What is that?
I don't know. I never took it off.
Well, it was bolted to the
Oh,
solenoid.
it was bolted to the solenoid.
Right. But it should ground.
It's probably serving as the ground to the.
So we need to connect it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Or can you just touch that directly to the starter?
No.
Well, that's positive. Remember, it's not ground. You've got positive.
This is
in your
ground.
hand.
This is positive in my hand.
Right.
So I need.
What do you need to do to close the circuit?
I need to complete the circuit to the battery with a ground, and I don't think that's going to do it.
Well, no, you're just connecting it from ground to ground. It's got to connect to the starter somehow.
No, this was ground. This was to the bumper.
No, it wasn't. It
Yep.
was connected to that lead right there on the starter.
This?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I never undid that. This bolted through. This is the bolt that went through this solenoid right here to the bumper.
Right. So it grounded the solenoid,
Right.
or it didn't ground. It charged the solenoid. So it's a charge.
We might need to connect this to the frame if there's no other.
It's already connected. Look it's bolted to the blower right now, right?
Right.
So that means it's positive. You have a positive lead in your hand.
Right.
If you put it back to the frame, all you're doing is closing a loop that it doesn't go anywhere.
But what I'm saying is if that hangs in a rubber mount,
Yeah.
so the engine's isolated in its mounts. If it's not connected to the frame, you're not completing the circuit. This might be what was completing the circuit.
But if you connect it to the frame, then you're going to drain the batteries. You create a short.
No. Because the ground connects to here.
But the ground is isolated, right?
No.
What did that say?
0.
Oh,
I'm just touching to ground just to reconfirm my.
okay. So the starter terminals.
If I connect this to this right now, it should start because that's what I was doing yesterday.
Okay, so then let's get the power supply out of here.
I don't know why it's not doing it because it did it yesterday.
Okay. Because you need the starter solenoid.
This is bypassing it.
Okay, then let's find out what's going on with the leads on the starter and not worry about this or anything from the starter solenoid.
This should go all the way straight back to the battery. So it connects to there, which is isolated, and then that goes all the way back to the battery.
So do you want to run the one lead to here and one lead over there and see if we get like an ohm to make sure that lead is, I mean, everything you say it should, instead of say it should, let's prove it.
Okay, we can do that.
So
We need to reconnect it.
I want to measure the wire. I don't want it connected to anything.
Well, that's what you're doing. You're measuring from where I am touching to the tip of your probe is what you're measuring.
So you're measuring, we were going to measure the battery wire, the wire on the starter,
Yep, that's where I was.
to this wire.
Right.
The wire's connected to the battery, so it's part of the bigger system. I need to unbolt it and just measure it without the battery being connected.
But then you don't have power for your probe. You'll have to plug it in over there.
So then we just, yeah, just give me the, this is, we're so tired, we both know what the fuck we're doing, but we just are,
You need the 7/16 wrench or 9/16 wrench. You need both.
well, this just bolts to the carriage. Jason,
Yeah.
that's just bolted to the ground, it's bolted to the carriage.
No. This goes through.
Okay.
This is a whole wire. Someone's put an extra sheath over to protect it. See how it's all routed?
Yeah.
So this actually goes all the way through. You can't see it.
Okay. Here, pull the battery out because I gotta. Okay, stand up here. I think we test this and I'm done. I'm just too hot, you know. We're not starting it tonight. I just don't see if we can't figure out how to ground it. We can just get fresh tomorrow.
Well, it should start right now. Put the screwdriver across.
Okay, is this positive or negative? Okay, there's our positive.
Okay. So then you're gonna hook your little lead to the ground. Or no, you're gonna hook your little
Oh.
lead to my wire.
Right, which is there. There it is.
Okay.
This probe.
Go to the ground.
Wire. So are you connected to that?
I'm not. I'm going to hold it right now.
Ready?
Yep, I'm touching.
Why am I getting the probe's not,
Is the probe on?
the lights are on, but the screen's not on.
Reset it. Unhook it and hook it up again.
I'm gonna leave this wire unhooked first.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm connected to ohms. So here we go, I'm gonna alligator clip.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna probe it. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
No, it's zero ohms.
It should be 0 ohms.
No, there's like nothing. There's no reading. It's not
Oh,
connected.
it could be what I'm touching.
Well, hang on. Let me. Yep. So that works. You're supposed to be touching the cable and nothing else.
Yeah, I'm just touching the cable.
Is the cable disconnected?
No, the cable is connected.
Well, disconnect the cable. The whole idea is we're testing just the cable, nothing else.
Then I have to get a big ass wrench. And I didn't really want to touch that because I'm afraid that that will break.
The whole idea of testing continuity or ohms is that you have a clean line. You don't have, with it connected, you're going to have all kinds of garbage.
If I was going through the other garbage, yes, but
Okay, so here's interesting. I touched it to the battery lead, the positive,
yeah.
and there's ohms. If I touch it to this, there's nothing.
Okay, the cable is completely disconnected from the starter now.
And is it connected to that gray wire?
It is now.
Okay, here we go. So we do have continuity.
Okay,
0 ohms.
that's what we want.
So that wire
Is good.
is good. Is there another wire we can test while we're here?
No.